Universe, can you hear me?
Universe, can you hear me?
Welcome to the Coordinated Chaos podcast. I'm your host, Georgia, and I'm just your type B bestie going deep on all things behind the scenes of building a business, women's health, and life's defining moments. Today's guest is my dear friend who is making waves and making an impact as a health and mindset coach, focusing on helping women improve their daily habits and their relationship with their body, and ultimately teaching them to finally give a shit about themselves. She's here to speak about her journey from fashion to fitness and all things body image. Welcome to the podcast, Abbey Trist.
Thank you.
Did you love that?
That was so good. I was like, what is she going to say about me? It's going to be fabulous.
It's just like the best part about the potty when
Yeah.
you get to do an intro and people don't know what's coming. It's so fun.
Yeah, it's so good. I love all that. And then you also kind of like, oh, how does this person see me? And I love that as well.
It's definitely that perspective of like how other people see you is really nice to hear every now and then.
Yeah, it's just like a heap of compliments all at once, which I love. So thank you.
You are so welcome. So like I mentioned, you are a body image mentor, which we love. And we met each other through the online space, which is also very cool.
Yes, which we love.
We love that. And I would love to hear about your journey, like I said, from fashion into fitness and what got you here today and how you ended up in this space of body image.
Yeah. So crazy to think about that I started with a fashion degree, like qualified fashion designer by trade. And I guess my journey as a whole, I always struggled with my weight and my body. Like since I was a little kid, I remember feeling like my tummy was bigger than all the other girls, not being able to wearing tankinis and one pieces and them walking around in like their little bikinis, and just always it being like a real struggle for me, and always thinking like, why me? Why is this happening to me? Why did I get this body, and why is it so hard for me? And so even when I was kind of going through school, I was not very academically strong. So I'd go towards maybe drama and the arts, and I grew up doing dancing, and I was constantly in these positions where I was always comparing myself, like especially dancing. I think you've done a history of dancing as well, didn't you? Yes, dance queens.
Can you tell?
Yeah, dance queens are the thing. But if I did it now, like I could barely touch my toes. So
Really?
yeah, I actually no, I could probably touch my toes.
I think you could.
But I feel like my flexibility is not there. But as I got older, that insecurity with my body stayed, and even like through dancing it stayed, because you're constantly in leotards, you're looking yourself in the mirror all the time, and you're like constant comparison. And then I kind of turned a page when I was 16, and I was like, I'm so uncomfortable with my body, I hate this. And then I went to drastic measures, and I really kind of ruined my relationship with food. They probably ruined a lot of like metabolic health for my body as well, and just kind of didn't know what I was doing. And I find that's the thing that can be so dangerous if you go along like a health and fitness or health journey or weight loss journey blind, and all you're thinking is like, all I know is to eat less, but you don't know what to eat. What's the impact of not eating enough? What's the impact of losing weight too quickly? How's that going to damage your relationship with food, the relationship with your body, and all those things along the way? And sometimes it can you can be a smaller body, but you still have all the same shit going on. Like you're not fit enough. You still don't weigh the perfect amount that you want to. You still don't fit into the size that you want to. Like I remember I lost I have no idea how much weight it was, but it was a drastic amount of weight in like 3 months when I was 16. And my 16th birthday, I remember going into Forever New and buying a dress for my birthday. And I was so upset that I still had to buy the size 10 and I couldn't buy the size 8, even though I was the skinniest I had ever been and the smallest. And I still had that, I guess, insecurity about myself and shame towards my body. And even when I then kind of a few months went past, I started kind of over consuming things. So like I remember I ate the rest of my 16th birthday cake in like over like a weekend because I was just like, oh my God, I haven't allowed myself to have this food in so long. And then that kind of then kick-started a really yo-yoing relationship with my body where I would gain weight, I would lose weight, I would be constantly in what I call like your diet mindset where you're never fully off. You're always searching for like the lower calorie option or trying to be good. So you're always ordering what you feel like you should be eating, like the salad, and not indulging in maybe just having some pasta or having the burger or getting the thing that you actually want. And I was stuck in that phase for so long. And then kind of like going into like when I got out of high school, I was still in that phase, but I was still, I would say, the fitness friend, because I was so health obsessed because I was trying to like fix my body all the time. I would be going, like all my friends would be like, oh, like what, come to the gym with me and we'll do a session together, because they'd want me to take them through like gym sessions, or they would ask me like fitness advice and like food advice and all these different things, even as I was getting older. But I still didn't have that concrete relationship with my body. And it's kind of evolved over the years. And I guess when I finished high school and then went into uni and went into fashion and kind of was studying it, I was like, I still had that real like passion for fitness, but I was just kind of like, the sustainable path is, you know, going to uni. And I was like, what thing could I study at uni? Because I didn't think I would go into like health and human development. And I was like, okay, I'll go into fashion. Did 2-year fashion degree, which, oh my God, that built so much resilience within myself. I made some great friendships. It was fucking hard because, you know, constantly, if something's not right, you had to unpick it and sew it again. Yeah. And especially with creative fields, if something, you could always keep going and adding to it, and then you would have to be like, okay, that's enough, and step away. So that taught me a lot of lessons through that. But then
lots of patience, I'm sure.
Lots of patience. And I was also really impressed with myself because, like I said before, I didn't like identify as a very academic person, but I'm also very resilient and very disciplined and very hard. I guess when I set my mind to something, I'm like, I'm going to finish this. And I just said to myself, I don't care what grade you get, but you're not failing because we're not repeating this shit. Yeah. But I also knew if I failed, I wouldn't repeat it. So I wanted to like just get the degree. And then I decided I did have a passion for fashion and just worked in retail for a bit. In that time, I started getting a bit more consistent at the gym. I started getting into weight training instead of going to like Zumba classes and fitness classes, and got myself a PT who at the time, even though I knew I didn't have the best relationship with food, I could see the red flags of my PT who had like a shocking relationship with food. Like wow. I remember her saying to me, she goes, oh, you shouldn't eat spinach because it's going to like stick to your insides. And I was just like, oh, okay. And it's so funny because like legit last year, my mum was like, oh, and see, I get rocket because you said you can't eat spinach. And I was like, what? When did I say you can't eat spinach? And then she goes, you said it like sticks in your gut. I was like, no, I said my PT told me that. And that was stupid. But, and also my PT had liposuction, which I was just like, that's just like red flags in itself. But
ooh, yep.
I became a bit more focused on strength training and the benefits of feeling strong. And then I was like, cool, I think maybe I would want to help people feel strong, and I have an interest in health, and then did my personal training certification from there. And then the first PT job I went through, I got. And I was like, cool, it was with a mobile PT company. And I was like, awesome, I'll follow these. And my mission at that point was like, I knew I was at a better relationship with my body in the fact of I was focusing on strength training, but I still didn't have the solid relationship I have with my body now from what I've learned along the way. Because anyone who's struggled with any disordered eating or body image stuff, it's constantly unlearning. It's constantly hearing a thought in your mind and be like, you know what? No, that's not actually going to help me. That's not taking care of me. Or that's just a bit silly, and moving through it. Mm-hmm. And it's constantly telling yourself, you know, oh, I haven't had breakfast today. Oh, I just won't I'll just skip it and then have lunch. And you go, no, that's actually not what my body needs. My body needs fuel. It needs energy to move and get itself forward. So constantly I got better at unlearning those behaviors and then healing them, and then kind of coming back at them with a force of being like, cool, well, like, how are we going to give a shit about ourselves, and building that perspective. And I guess that's slowly how I rebuilt my relationship with food, my relationship with exercise, through moments of just self-awareness and realizing, okay, I maybe don't have the best relationship with my body. And I know there was a stage, especially during COVID, when I went through a breakup. And when you go through being in a relationship and you've got that person validating you all the time and being like, you're pretty, I love you, you're gorgeous, and then you take that away and then add COVID in there and you're just in your apartment by yourself and you're the only person to hold yourself together and pull yourself up, you realize exactly what you think about yourself. And that was a moment where I was had gone through deficits, was with a really good coach at the time, had a good relationship with exercise, but I could still feel those kind of pressures of, oh, I'd feel a bit shit about my body if I didn't hit my step count. I'd feel a little bit shit about myself if I didn't get in enough workouts. I would feel a bit guilty still if I had like a cookie for breakfast, or well, not for breakfast, but just had a cookie in general, or had some dessert and treated myself, or maybe went off plan or ate something I maybe didn't feel was a good food. And those were the things where I kind of looked at myself in the mirror and go, I feel like all this time I've been just chasing like to be smaller and to be like someone else's body shape and not actually chasing feeling good, feeling strong, feeling healthy, and actually just being happy with the skin that I'm in. And from that, day forward, I started, because by that point I had done my certification in mindset, and I realized all these small behavior things that we do, which we can fall back into, which from like self-sabotaging or just through comfort, and how also your behaviors that you do on a daily basis is evidence of how you're choosing to take care of yourself. And I kind of built a better routine and habits that felt nourishing for myself and not punishment, and actually built now a routine that I want to wake up for, and a relationship with my body that feels really, really strong. Because like I can hand on my heart say now, I don't remember like the last time I thought something negatively about myself, and or like had a day where I was like, I don't want to go to that event because I feel fat, I feel gross. If I put on an outfit and I just be like, this isn't the vibe I'm going for, I'll change.
Yeah.
And I'm more than happy to wear something that I've worn before if that's going to make me feel comfortable and confident. And that's the two things I focus on when I'm like getting ready and kind of trying to get my head in like a good perspective.
Yeah.
But that's a bit of a long-winded answer of how I went from fashion to fitness.
We love it. That's like what we want. We want that intro of how you got here, which is amazing. So thank you for sharing that with us. Something that I wanted to touch on that I thought was really interesting in the undertone of what you were saying is like, I think a lot of people that are listening to this or thinking about body image or have body image issues are probably thinking that their body image issue is very much like what they perceive as external perception. So like they're thinking that people outside of themselves are the ones that are kind of like creating their sense of their own body image, when in actual fact exactly what you're saying is everything comes from within you, right? Like when you start to realize your habits, your behaviors, your thoughts are the things are actually shaping your self-perception in body image as well, which I think is really interesting. So I think a lot of people, if they're thinking about, like, I know that I have issues with body image, they're thinking like, well, I feel like I need to change my body because of what I think other people think about my body image. When that's really not the case at all. It's very much internal. And I think obviously we're going to touch on this more as we ask more questions, but I think it would be cool for you to be able to define for our audience how would you define body image?
Yeah, it's a kind of an in-depth question, because I feel like a lot of people would think, it's how you look and it's like your relationship you have with your body. which I would agree to an extent. But for me, body image is your relationship to yourself and how you take care of yourself. Because when I think about your body image, it's not a size, it's not an aesthetic, it's not a weight, it's a relationship. And it's your image of yourself and how you then care for yourself and show up for yourself and your relationship you have for yourself. And everybody's body image relationship to themselves is going to be different. Like someone could be plus size and completely love the skin that they're in and completely love their lifestyle. Maybe they're not an active, focused person, but they love they love their life and they feel really confident and good in their body. That's amazing. But then someone else can be a complete gym junkie, love eating like whole foods and low toxic living. And that's what creates a really good relationship with their body. And it's from those behaviors and how you treat yourself and how then you take that on. So as long as it's coming from a really good place, because you can go to the gym and, well, both you and I can go to the gym, but you might be going because you're like, oh, it really helps my mental health. It really makes me feel strong. It makes me feel confident. I love just moving my body. But I could be just going to the gym because I feel like if I don't go to the gym, I can't enjoy the drinks I want to have on the weekend. I'm going to the gym because I'm being like fixated on that belly roll that I've been seeing in the mirror and I just want to get rid of it. And so it's all about like we're both doing the same action, but our emotional response to that action is different. And that's your body image. It's your relationship to how you actually take care of yourself, show up in your lifestyle. And the same thing goes with like food and your daily habits and all those things. It's about your response to them. And that's the big thing that I changed over the past few years is I've always gone to the gym. I've always ate pretty healthy, but I changed my relationship to the food. I changed my response to the gym and my reaction to certain things and how I see myself in the mirror. I don't look at myself in the mirror and then pull myself apart. If I feel like bloated one day, I go, cool, I feel bloated. This feeling is going to pass, so why the fuck would I spend more than 2 minutes on it and let it ruin my mood, ruin my day, make me say, oh, I can't wear this outfit that I want to wear because I'm bloated. It's like, well, no, you can just wear the outfit, wear something you feel comfortable in and just move the fuck on.
Definitely. I think that's really cool. And we're going to do, I did mention this to you already.
Yes.
We're going to do a little bit of live coaching later and we can move through like, I'm going to be vulnerable and share something that I have on my mind, which I haven't told you yet.
Yeah.
And then you're going to coach me through it because I feel like there's definitely going to be some actionable things and ways to like change the mindset around certain things.
Yeah.
That is going to be helpful for people.
Yeah.
But before we do that, we still have more questions, of course.
Of course.
When it comes to body image, what are some of the most common things or problems or issues or things you hear when it comes to clients?
When it comes to clients, I would say the first thing that pops up is the number on the scales. So it's, I've got this goal weight and I really want to get down to this weight. And I firmly believe that you have the ability to grow and change whenever the fuck you want. So if you've got a goal weight, I'm not the one to say you can't have that goal weight. That's completely up to you. But it's when we fixate on that and then let that emotion towards the scale dictate how we show up for ourselves. And I feel like that's the biggest thing that we get caught up with, along with then self-comparison, which we'll go through in a moment, that when we step on the scales, I find we are always looking for validation. We're either looking for, and like this is anyone, because like it's just a number, it's a metric, it's data. But if you step on the scales and you know you've been maybe not the most consistent that week, maybe you've had some dinners with friends, maybe you've been off plan if you're currently following a plan, and you step on the scales and that weight is, maybe it's gone up and that's maybe a negative reaction to you, you're going to be like, yeah, well, that's because I fucked up. That's because I didn't look after myself. And you're going to feel shit about yourself. You're going to be like, I suck. I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, you'll lose motivation maybe, or you'll go the other way and you'll be like, okay, I've got to fix this. And you're going to like fix it mode and you'll be like, okay, well, I'm only eating salads. I'm cutting out alcohol. I'm not eating chocolate. And you overcompensate. You're like, and I'm going to start running because you want to like burn whatever you've added on. But in the same breath, if you've been really consistent that week and then you step on the scales and again, maybe it's not what you want to see, you're going to be like, okay, well, what am I doing wrong? Like, why isn't this working for me? And again, you question yourself. But even so, if you've had that shit week and then you step on the scales and the number goes down, you're going to be like, oh, cool. Well, I can get away with like eating a bit over my calories or skipping the gym or maybe lowering your standards. But that's not the person you're trying to be. You're not trying to be someone who half-asses their goals or lowers their standard. So again, that number is invalidating you to the person that you could be. And so every time we're stepping on the scales, we're creating this relationship every time. And I like to see it as, think of it as like you've got a container and every time you're stepping on the scales with a bad relationship to it, you're putting some bit of your self-worth in the bucket. And every time it's taking a little bit of you until you get to a point where you're absolutely just distraught and you're just like, why don't I look like her? Why can't I do this? Why is this not working for me? All because of a number that you've dictated and you've put the value on there. When really the value comes from, you don't need a number to tell yourself that maybe you should be caring for yourself better. You already know it, but sometimes we need that physical, like, evidence and that number to be like, oh shit, I really need to be taking care of myself better. When, you know, if you said to me, oh, I want to like improve my eating habits, start going to the gym more, even though I know you have good eating habits to go to the gym, but you don't need to step on the scales to do that. You don't need that validation, that motivation to do that. And I find that's one of the biggest things that I work with clients with to kind of repair their relationship with the scales, because there's a time and place for the scales 100%. But your relationship, again, how we said, your relationship to your body image, that's the story that's going to play out. And that's the thing that's going to either demotivate you towards your goals or motivate you towards your goals.
Interesting. I like it. It's like taking the emotion out of it.
Yeah.
Like you just like, and I say this to my clients as well, like it's just data.
It is.
But I can also resonate with like getting on the scales and being like disappointed and like,
Yeah.
oh, isn't it what I wanted to see, da 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 da. But I think it's very much also like you've already mentioned, like lining up your actions and just being really honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Like I know that I had a donut and a Sebi scroll last weekend. This is true story. and getting on, I actually haven't been on the scales in a while, but like I know I don't feel great this week because I did that. But then when you're like, oh, why isn't it working? Like it's really hard not to get out of it's really hard to not like disconnect from that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because and also the good thing about when you create knowledge, it's like you can step on the scales and go, cool, well, I know I can't physically gain like 2 kilos in 2 days, but what that could be is inflammation. It could be carbohydrates from the pizza I had with the water retention and the salt. So actually give myself 5 days of consistency and that number will go back down. And so it's also being like, I always say, it's like, why would you put your self-worth onto something that has so many variables? Like you wouldn't put your self-worth on your mood dictated by the weather, which I know a lot of us do because it's like, oh, the sun's out, I'm a happy person. But it's that thing of like, it's got so many variables. So why would we give ourselves this pull and fro with something when we can like bring it back to what we've actually done, what we actually know to be true, and then go, cool, that is data. If you are chasing a goal and you're chasing and you are using weight as a dictation towards that goal, it's like, cool, I'm going to give myself 7 days before I make any drastic changes of being like, okay, maybe I need to manipulate my exercise, my food, etc., my habits to then trend this in the right direction. because we're so easy to like jump the gun and be like, oh, I've got to freaking do this and do that, when it's like, okay, well, let's just give it time and let's not give it a reaction. Let's get curious and give it time and space.
I think that curiosity is really important, and it's applicable to a lot of different things in life as well. Like even, you know, just like with regular emotions and going through the highs and lows of life, we need to be more curious about it.
Yes.
There's actually a, I don't know if you've heard of it, internal family systems. It's like a branch of psychology that I've been learning about lately. And it talks about how we have different parts of ourselves that can coexist. So there might be like this negative thought process that can coexist, but we need to get more curious about, okay, I'm having this thought right now. And it could be very, very applicable for body image too. It's like, I'm having this thought process right now. Where has this actually come from? What's the origin of it? And why do I believe in that right now? And it's about just like separating yourself from that like emotion.
Yeah.
And just seeing it for what it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but I'm going to ask the question anyway in case there's a slightly different answer. But what are some of the biggest patterns and behaviors that you see repeated with people that are struggling with their body image?
Biggest patterns and behaviors. A lot of all or nothing thinking.
Oh, yeah.
Which I kind of touched on before, but like not with that label. So the all or nothing thinking is basically when you go all in on something or you're all out. So a lot of us would see this with maybe the gym, that they'll start going to the gym 7 days a week, then they'll get tired, burnt out, and then they won't go at all the next week because they're sore, fatigued, and they've lost all motivation. And the reason why this comes up a lot with body image is from that kind of reactive nature that I spoke about before. And it can be triggered from different things. So it can be triggered from the number on the scales. It could be triggered from eating a food that you've labeled bad. So maybe like, you know, it's a Sebi scroll and then you go, oh, I feel really guilty about eating that. I need to get back on
It was actually so good though.
I'm so jealous. I really want one, to be honest.
We
I
should
haven't
go.
had one. We should. And get like 3 different flavors.
Definitely.
But yeah, it can be even self-comparison. So it could be like you catch up or you go out with your girlfriends and maybe like one of your friends is just like looking to the nines, and like when you've got like hot friends, you're like, fuck, you look great. And then you kind of go down on yourself and be like, oh, I don't look like her. And then maybe that will then trigger that all or nothing thinking of maybe, again, going too hard into something, trying to change something, trying to control something, instead of going, cool, what do I need? What do I want? How
can you validate yourself in that moment? Like, what is it that I actually need? What does your inner child need?
Exactly. And similar to the concept that you were talking about before, is something I look at with like my clients is their body image story. So where did it come from? So someone might be fixated on like a lot of women are on changing their arms. I go, cool, where did that start? Sometimes it starts from their mum looking at themselves in the mirror and being like, I need a jacket. I need something to like, I was going to say a throw, and I'm like, it's not a throw, like a scarf or like to cover my arms because I hate my arms.
Where else do you learn about tuck shop arms from?
Exactly. And so a lot of it comes down to like your body image story, or it could be watching things online. Like I know for us, like magazines and modeling and those kind
even
of
dancing
things. Yeah, dancing, massive one.
I talked about this in one of my other podcasts where it's like you're in the spotlight on the stage, and if you're not like the ideal image or whatever, like some of my dance teachers were game enough to be like, nah, you're not good enough, get out of the center spot.
You're in the back.
You're in the back, which is so real and so crazy to think about.
Yeah. And like, I'll hand my heart say, I was not good at the choreo. Like I was always kind of looking at someone at the side of my eye. So I know they didn't really trust me at the front to be the leader, because I was always like side-eyeing someone else. And I like, so for that instance, I know why I was at the back. But then also when you're at the back and you see all these beautiful petite women at the front who are also probably slaying the dance moves, you're kind of like, okay, I'm not good enough.
Which that ties into the comparison thing, which I think you were going to talk about, but didn't quite touch on
Yes.
So I'd love for you to like dive into that, because I know that comparison is so massive, like
Yeah.
for so many women, especially with the rise of social media.
Yeah.
And this is like literally the 5th time in 7 episodes I've talked about social media being somewhat of a problem.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear your take on like how you kind of approach comparison when clients are bringing that issue to the table.
Yeah. So if someone says, oh, I want to look like her, in my head, I go, well, first of all, there's like, okay, well, this girl is like 6 foot and you're like 5.
Yes.
So there's proportionate things. Then there's like genetics, where we've got to just be, some people do not disclose how genetically blessed they are. And where like their parents' genes, like some people are just better at building and retaining muscle than other people. And like their metabolism health and like all their history of like, you know, what they did, you don't know their backstory. But the biggest thing I also bring to them and go, cool, if someone brings me a photo of like a girl with a 6-pack, and I would go, are you willing to do what she does to get that? Because also that's the thing we've got to look at. It's like,
got to be real about
you got to be real about it. If being like, because I know for a fact that does a lifestyle where I have to completely control my food, my energy output so meticulously just to maintain a body because I want to look like this chick, that also my level of standard that I'll have to be at with my lifestyle because of my genetics and my body might be even higher than what she does to maintain her lifestyle. So like, you know, we are in the fitness industry, and, you know, it's so easy to look at other women who are got like different body shapes to you and be like, fuck, like she is ripped. She's like, and obviously, you know, we know like the bodybuilder comps and everything, but we also know what it takes to get there and what it would take for us in our bodies to get there. And that's also something, like you said, you have to be real with yourself. I was like, do you want to commit? And I was like, if you're just an everyday girly working your 9 to 5, wanting to have your vino on the weekend.
You don't want to cut out Sebi's scrolls.
No.
Like, you still want
You're going to freaking hate your life.
Literally.
So it's that whole thing of like, cool, you can want that, and you can, it's like I said, you can grow and change whenever the fuck you want. You can aspire to be at that level, but do you need to be at that level? Do you even want to be at that level? But also, can you just look at your body and appreciate your body for where it is? Because there's so many, and I think comparison comes from not accepting our faults within our own body. And if there's something on your body that you physically cannot change, like for me, I have hip dips, and I remember for years I was like, I hate these. Like, these makes everything lumpy, it makes everything like that. Now I could not, like, I see them in the mirror and it's a non-thing, because I'm just like, cool, I can't change my hip structure.
Yeah.
I don't really want to go and do potentially all the stretches I could do to like open up my hips and potentially change it. I don't even know if that's true, but I have been marketed things in the past.
I feel like that is so untrue.
I know, it's so, like, that's what I mean. I was like, try and sell me. I was like, I know this is can't. But it's that part of like self-acceptance. And I don't mean self-acceptance. Far out.
Obsession? Obsession?
Yeah, self-obsession. In the space of like body positivity, of like, you just have to accept where you are and just be happy with the body if you're in. You can, like I said, you can grow and change whenever the fuck you want. You don't need to settle. And that's all I'm talking about. But self-comparison comes knowing your body and being comfortable in your body and knowing exactly how your body is, and being like, you know what? I'm not going to look like Stacey online who's got a 6-pack, because maybe I like food and I don't want to be doing cocaine on the weekend.
That's amazing. But also just like meeting yourself where you're at in terms of your lifestyle right now too. I think that's really important one to talk about, because I know there's clients that I have and they're like, you know, I'm really disappointed in myself because I haven't been able to achieve XYZ, even though I have like 4 kids. And I'm like,
yeah,
you have 4 kids.
Yeah.
Like, you have a whole nother job.
Yeah.
You have a whole nother set of 4 people you're responsible for.
Yeah.
And whilst you're doing the best that you can to achieve what you need to achieve, you have this responsibility too. Like, what does your life actually look like? have compassion for yourself in
Yeah.
where you're currently at.
Exactly. And like a big thing of like talking about mums, the biggest thing is like, oh, I looked like this. I looked like that. And it's like, okay, cool. But are you doing a uni degree and, you know, got mostly free time and got a casual job? No, you've got a husband,
Sleeping 10 hours a
kids,
night, like-
full-time job. Like it's also like, and I always find when you compare yourself back, you're then doing a disservice to all the growth that you've done and all the understanding and knowledge you've done about your body, about yourself up until this point. And sometimes we've got to reflect and be like, if I look at a photo of me when I was 16 and I was at my goal weight, I can remember exactly what my lifestyle was, exactly what I was eating because it was so freaking little, and also how I felt about myself. Do I want to be her? No fucking way. You couldn't pay me to be her. And like, even though she was a small, and we look back in rose-colored glasses and we can think of like, yeah, but what was your relationship maybe with your partner at that time? It was probably not great, because if you're so hyper fixated on getting in your workouts, getting in your steps, eating a certain way, your relationship with your partner probably suffered. And it's all those things of like, when we compare backwards, we forget actually how we felt about ourselves in that moment. And also, if we're still comparing ourselves back, that is just like a bit of a sign to be like, okay, what work on myself do I have to do now? Because there's clearly a part of me that still isn't accepting of who I am and my body, and also isn't proud currently of how I'm showing up in my lifestyle. Because that's all it's showing. It's showing that there's a part of you that you're not proud of. And it doesn't come from like feeling enough for anyone else, because when you feel enough for yourself, you don't really care what anyone else is talking about, you know. And it's building that, okay, well, where do I know my standard for myself and where I'm at now has dropped? Maybe it's like, yeah, I've got 4 kids, but I also think I need to prioritize myself more. And that could be like having breakfast and not just having a coffee, like small things that make you feel good, and building that back up. Are you nervous?
Yeah, kind of. So everything's been so awesome so far, but we're going to dive into a little bit of live hot seat coaching, as we would call it in our in our industry. If you don't know what hot seat coaching is, it just means like when someone is coaching you on the spot in a live kind of way.
Yeah, have not been briefed.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of explain like somewhat of a problem or like issue that I feel like I have had with body image in some way. And I'm excited because my example and thing that I had in my head is something we haven't touched on yet. So I'm really excited to see how you can like help or like coach through this.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm going to try my best to articulate this. I identify as someone who is quite confident. Like I obviously can like sit here and yap on camera, and I can stand in front of a crowd. I can coach a whole class of people in like a fitness class and not have any issues. But I have, I guess, my thing is like, I'm going to close my eyes.
I just pretend you're not here.
I just know it's because I don't want to say it like and mess it up. But when I see photos of myself, I get the ick, basically. Like I just like feel really uncomfortable and insecure about the way that I look when I see myself in photos, but I can disconnect from that and just like carry on with life and still feel quite confident in a lot of ways. But I do feel like it is a problem. How can you help me shift this?
I'm going to ask you a few uncomfortable questions.
Okay, I'm ready.
He's like, okay, I'll close my eyes. When you think about like the last time you had that reaction, honestly, what was the first thing you noticed?
Like my midsection. Actually, this is interesting, but the photo that I had taken here by a photographer that is now the podcast cover photo. So I, noticed my midsection and like a roll around my midsection.
Yeah. And in your head, what did that make you feel?
I guess I feel like shame is probably a good way to describe it. I think like I definitely have some emotions of like, oh, I shouldn't look like that because I'm a fitness trainer.
Mm-hmm. And why do you feel like you felt shame? Because you don't feel like from that title that you had, like you put on yourself?
I guess I also feel as though I like do the right things a lot. Like I have good habits. I think there's definitely some issues, probably mostly around food and things like that. But I think it's because I feel a bit like it's a bit unfair.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's still things that I'm like, I probably could do better.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but do you find when you look at the photos, you feel like it isn't a pure representation of how you feel in your body?
100%.
Lock it in, Eddie.
Yes, that's a really good way to put it, because I definitely feel like, you know, I sort of feel like I'm not, the person that I am inside is not reflected on the outside.
Yeah. And who's the person you are inside?
Strong, powerful, and I am kind, and I am helpful,
Yeah.
and lots of other things. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
I am positive, and I have a good energy, and I'm empathetic, and
You can stop. It's all right if you're done.
I think I'm done.
Okay. And
I feel like I was saying "and" a lot, so I was like filling gaps.
do you feel like that stomach roll you see trumps all those? Like you can't see that at all when you see that?
In that moment, yeah.
Yeah. And so what does that stomach roll show? What do you think it shows?
I guess like in that moment of seeing the photo and seeing the stomach roll, it's like I guess I'm not perfect.
Yeah, but if you're going to be ruthlessly honest with yourself right now, what do you feel like it shows?
Like I guess it's like I'm not good enough,
Yeah. Why?
because the inside and outside don't reflect each other.
Yeah. And when you first, so obviously considering that you've used that photo now for like the podcast image,
I just got over it and did it.
Yeah, you got over and did it. So what made you like that photo, or like it enough, and like what changed besides just like getting over it in between the first initial sight of it and then like being like, oh, okay.
There were other elements of the photo that I liked, I guess, and it was like right here and pretty colors and all of that stuff too. But I guess there's a part of me that tries to override like the feelings of shame and not enoughness because I know that it's not true. Like I can rationalize that is not, I'm not enough.
Yeah.
By looking at a photo.
Yeah.
And so I just override it.
Yeah. But
those feelings still come up.
Yeah. A little token on when taking photos, and if you do find yourself quite reactive when you like, I've seen photos of myself and been like, that's not how I thought I'd look in that photo. Like, that's not the best photo of me. And every time, giving it 24 hours, I come back to it and I'm like, I don't know why I was so fucking like distraught about that. Sometimes it's in that feeling of maybe you're feeling like it was a photo shoot. So you're feeling really good about yourself, feeling like hot, sexy, all these things. And then you see a photo and you're like, oh, that's not how I thought it would be. But it's not because you don't look hot and sexy. It's because you looked imperfect. Like you weren't, it's not like, you know, you had like the smoothest stomach, or maybe there was no cellulite or anything like that.
Yeah.
Or like your face maybe was in a different position. It's just, it wasn't how you envisioned yourself. So if you find you someone that before you actually go and criticize yourself, like definitely give yourself like 24 hours. Like if you get like a passport photo, it's like give yourself 24 hours and you'll be like, and also try and see if you weren't yourself, what would you be looking at in this photo? Would you be like, oh my God, like your hair looks so nice. Oh my God, your boobs look great. Oh my God, like, and it's okay to be like physical things. You don't have to be like, oh, I've got a stomach roll, but I'm a nice person. Because it's like,
Yeah.
most people are nice people, but also in that moment, that's not what you're searching for in that photo. You're not searching for, oh, she looks like a nice person. You're actually searching for, she looks like a hot, fucking confident, sexy bitch.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest.
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
like, no, but she can't be a hot, sexy bitch if she's got a stomach roll.
So you look for like more other physical things that you'd like. Like I
Yeah.
said, I was like, yeah, there were other parts of the photo that I liked.
Yeah. But there is a part to say of that. If there is something in a photo that you don't like, and it could be like an ongoing insecurity, or it can actually be a representation of potentially how you've been treating yourself in that point. So maybe there'll be things that you can look at and go, cool, that stomach roll, the stomach roll isn't the issue, because you might be actually pretty okay with having rolls. Like I've got a roll while I'm sitting here now, you know, like in my hunched over arms and trying to keep myself up straight, sitting on my cushion. But it also could be, okay, but to you, again, with the scales, you're putting your self-worth in that. And then you're also looking at how other people will see you, not how you see you.
Yeah.
And that's probably what's got you from point A to point B, is that you remember how you see you and you go, oh, but like, I actually do look pretty hot in this photo. It is really, I remember you showing me and you were like a bit, oh, I don't know. And I was like, no, that looks great. You look awesome. And then you got the validation from how I was seeing it. And then you go, true. Like, and you kind of, it's kind of like that whole thing of when you think about fear, that you feel scared until you do the thing and then you're not as scared anymore.
Yeah. I think it's also very niche, but I definitely noticed like how, like it's niche because not everyone does photo shoots, but I noticed like in that shoot specifically, like the photographer, shout out Ben, he would take a photo and be like, what do you think? And I straight away, like just didn't want to, I was like, you know what? Stop showing me. Because I just am not going to have a good reaction no matter what.
Yeah.
But then like he sends the photos, like, you know,
Yeah.
however long later. And I'm like, oh, that's a sick shot. That's
Yeah.
so good. And I feel like in other photo shoots too, that's been the same thing. Like I don't want to see it straight away because I
Yeah.
know my brain is just scanning for that imperfection
Yeah.
straight away.
And that's the reason why, like, we take 20 photos. That's the reason why when you get the catalog of photos after, it's like easier because you're like, oh, that one, you're expecting some to be bad. You're not expecting them all to be good. You're like, you got 500 photos. There's going to be ones with your eyes closed where you're like moving transition, where the lighting shit. You're expecting that when you get a catalog of photos. But when you're constantly getting shown one, or you're taking one selfie, then looking at it, you're straight away going to be like, where's the imperfections?
And it's actually, it's probably a lot more common than what I'm thinking. I'm like, photo shoot, not everyone does that. But just like going out with the girls,
Yeah.
like at your 30th birthday,
Yeah.
we're all taking photos, but everyone's like, let me see, like straight away, wanting to scan for that straight away,
Yeah.
which is so crazy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like just take the photos and look at it later and then we'll figure it out. Like
Yeah.
everyone's going to be like, oh, they're the photos we got. They're great. Look, they're memories.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
not like, I was perfect in that moment and that's exactly how I wanted to look, but it's more just like looking back later being like, so glad I got a memory of that.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember that because I was just standing there like rotating. It's like, okay, who's next? Who's next? I didn't get to see any of the photos.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
There's actually a video somewhere.
Oh,
I think
it's so good.
so good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Loved it. Put me under the pump a little bit, but that's okay. I think that was good. I think people will take something great away from
Do you
it.
feel like you got what you needed from it?
Yeah.
What would you do differently?
I would give myself time, 24 hours, and then come back to it. And then instead of just like instantly scanning for the imperfections, look at like what I do like about it, and also just like associate more like positive, like
Yeah.
how did I actually feel in that moment?
Yeah,
That's a
exactly.
good one because
Yeah.
like I actually genuinely enjoy being in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Like and doing photo shoots. So
Yeah.
much fun.
Yeah.
Like you do feel like a badass.
Yeah. You feel so good.
So time to book a shoot.
Yeah. But like in that, like focusing, on how you feel.
Yeah.
And also, there was something I was going to say and it was going to be so good.
Okay.
Oh, is it there? It was something about how you feel. Focusing on like how you felt in that moment. That's it. When we look back
Bang. Love that.
when we look back on photos, how many times, again with that self-comparison backwards, how many times we look at photos and we go, I remember how sad I felt about that photo. When I first, maybe it's a photo, like maybe it's like when you look at that photo, it's like, I remember how disappointed I was in that. And then that trumps how you felt in that moment.
Yeah, and I think another like similar kind of conversation is around how like when you're older and you look back at younger photos of yourself and you're like, I hated myself then, but I actually look like amazing.
Yeah.
And I've spent all this time being like so disappointed with the way that I look.
Exactly. And like I've had that when
What a waste.
Yeah, I've looked at photos and I've been like, why was I so fixated on being smaller or fixing my body, and I didn't stop and actually just celebrate my body of where it is right now?
Why did I spend so much time wearing oversized clothing and not celebrating where I was at that time and how good I actually did look?
100%. And like, you know, at the end of the day, like that's what pushes me to like wear shorts at the gym. That's what pushes me to wear like crop tops, bikinis and everything, because I'm just like, well, if I'm not going to freaking wear it now, like you obviously don't have to wear those things if you don't want to, but it's like freaking just, and like but then when you actually see yourself in that kind of like self-obsessed, like sexy light, and you're kind of like, yeah, look at my curves. And you start appreciating your body for what it is. You're not appreciating that your thighs don't look like the other person. Like there is no, like as we spoke about my hips before, there's no hope in hell I'm even going to get a thigh gap with my hip structure at this point. But that's also, I know it's something years ago that I used to chase, but it's not something I chase now because it's like, it's physically not impossible for me to be. But now I look at my legs and I used to like hate my quads. And if anyone has known me personally, I was born with quads. And like quads, like my glutes are man-made, but my quads are natural. And like, I have to, like, I used to hate them because I was like, oh my God, I've got like these big, thick thighs. And now I freaking love my quads. And when you actually start to see yourself and appreciate yourself from where it's at, you'll see a photo. And yeah, you might be like, oh, my hair looks a bit gross, but you'll find the positive and be like, yeah, but look at my bicep popping. Oh, look at like my teeth look so white. Oh, my skin's glowing. Oh, I actually love that dress on me. And you actually then create like this really like positive self-talk about yourself, and then that trumps the negative. So you might have like that initial kind of like judgment on yourself, but it's not what you take from it. It's not the thing that you hold on to. You find those other things, like in that moment you might have then been like, look at the lighting, look at my legs, look at my makeup, and there's all these other things. And then you kind of got like, and then you kind of be like, well then amongst all that greatness, like that little imperfection that you see doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
And you see that overall picture, and then that's kind of the place you want to get to. And like, obviously we're not saying this like you're going to have this amazing moment every time you see a photo of yourself, because it's not going to be like, damn. But I make the effort of like, you know, if it's like when people give you compliments, it's like people go, oh no, like you're pretty, like your eyes. It's like, no, thank you.
Thank you.
And
exactly.
like, you don't have to give one back. You can just be like, cool.
Yeah.
Like you can give something back if you do have, honestly, like if someone goes, oh, like I love your shoes, and you look at their outfit and you're like, oh, like, you know, it's okay. And you just say thank you. You know, if you don't have anything to add.
I love that. Awesome. I think the last question I want to touch on is, to finish out our episode today, is if someone is listening to this right now and they're struggling with feeling like they are enough as they are right now, what are the top ways that they can audit their lifestyle and help themselves have a better relationship with food and their body?
Ooh, love it. So the last one, I'm like, God, this is going to try and keep this concise. The first thing I would audit is how you speak to yourself, first and foremost, because how you speak to yourself is like the loudest voice in the room, because it's the constant voice. It's like when you look at yourself in the mirror, it's how you see yourself with a partner. It's that validation thing. So I would audit of if you constantly pick yourself apart in photos, if you look at yourself in the mirror and you want to like pick your body apart, and if you're constantly like, if you're getting ready and you're like, this looks gross, I hate this, like audit how you speak to yourself. And that is the first thing to change, because once you quiet that noise, it leaves space for those positive things of being like, like, you know, maybe you're not criticizing your arms now, that you can now appreciate your legs, because that's something that maybe you like, or your hair, or another physical feature of yourself. Like it doesn't have to be just like, I hate when people say, oh, don't focus on like the inside. It's like, yeah, but you're also allowed to like celebrate your outside as well. And so first of all, auditing that, and like a big thing that I tell my clients, and you would have heard me say so many times, is that if you have like a negative talk or like see the thing in the photo that you don't like, just say, this is not helping me. Shut it down. Don't give it any time, attention, and space, because it's not going to give you anything. And don't go and hit it with some positive affirmations. Just shut it down and move on. Because the less airtime you give it, the more space you'll give for those positive things. So that's the first thing I would focus on. Second, kind of like when you come into like your lifestyle and your relationship to yourself, asking yourself, is this taking care of myself? Is this me, like how I like to say, giving a shit about myself? And being ruthless, like if it comes to your eating behaviors and you look at how you've been eating the past week, maybe you've skipped a few meals, maybe because you've been stressed or busy, or maybe you've eaten out a fair bit because you've been, again, stressed or busy, or it's just something you haven't been prioritizing. Thinking about right now, how do you feel? Not how you feel about yourself. How do you feel? Have you got energy? Are you tired? Have you been enjoying like your social experiences, and really seeing how you feel about yourself and then creating change from that place. So if you know, okay, I'm not feeling that good. Okay, what do you know? How can you take care of yourself that day by like doing 1% things? So it could be, okay, I'm actually just going to eat my meals at home this week. Doesn't have to be the best meals, doesn't have to be the most elaborate meals. It could just be stuff that you enjoy, but you know that when you eat more meals at home, you feel better about yourself and you're taking care of yourself. Same with like your sleep, and same with like your gym routine. Like, oh, I haven't been to the gym or a Pilates class or whatever in a few weeks. Okay, how can I take care of myself today? And you always, if you come at that perspective, you always put yourself in a net positive position, because like restricting, saying like foods are good and bad, it's not going to support you. You going to the gym 7 days a week is not you taking care of yourself, because where's your rest? So it's always going to put you in a really good place. So I would say looking at your lifestyle and be like, how can I take care of myself better? Because again, you want to do stuff that you can sustain over a lifetime and a lifestyle. Like that's a lifestyle. It's like what you're doing for life. So don't be doing stuff that you can't maintain. So I would start with, your self-talk, how you take care of yourself, and then just build some non-negotiables from there, because I'm the firm believer of you should have at least 3 things every day that supports movement, food, and like wellness, which I think I've spoken about with you before. And that is just focusing on like they can be as specific or as broad as you like. So it could be hit my 4 gym sessions a day, or it could be move my body every day, which could mean a walk. It could mean going to a class. Like you can be as broad as you like. It could be hit my macros every day, or it could be eat 3 balanced meals. Again, it could be for more mindfulness. It could be do breath work for 10 minutes every morning, or it could be read before bed, or do 10 minutes of mindfulness before bed. So that might be reading, breath work, or whatever, and can give yourself a little bit more freedom, because at least you're ticking every day those 3 boxes, you're cared for. So then your baseline on your bad days, you've got a stronger foundation to build upon, and you can take care of yourself even when you're feeling shit, even when you're stressed, even when you're tired. And that's always going to put you in a better relationship with yourself, because you are cared for. You are giving a shit about yourself. And then you're not going to resent others, resent your lifestyle, and you're not going to be running on an empty cup. So negative self-talk, chuck that in the bin. Create some non-negotiables and build that evidence for yourself through how can you give a shit about yourself, and like prove yourself wrong. If you're having a really shit day, be like, how the fuck can I prove myself wrong? And come out with that mentality. And hopefully you can kind of put yourself in a bit more of like a net positive position. And then you'll also see the things that you're doing in your lifestyle that aren't necessarily giving a shit about yourself, but more hurting yourself.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I think we got some really cool, actionable, tangible things that people can work on if they're listening to this episode and struggling with some things right now.
Yes.
But that was absolutely amazing. Thanks for coaching me as well.
You're welcome. You know, I'll send the bill in the mail. No, I'm kidding.
And where can we find you on socials?
Yes. So you can find me at abbytrist.coaching. From there, you can see all my online coaching. I also have a community that's called the Self-Obsessed Space, where it's got a free community and also a subscription community about just helping women build a more self-obsessed lifestyle where they're obsessed with like their workout routine, their habits, themselves, their body, and all that vibe. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for you all listening and tuning in to another episode of the Coordinated Chaos podcast. And we're going to wrap it up here. Can't wait to see you next time, wherever we are. Bye.